Welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to look at how to analyze a replay. This is useful for when you're on a losing streak or you've just lost a game, you're not sure why, and you want to be able to learn from that to improve. We're going to go through 7 questions you should ask yourself when analyzing a replay. So let's get straight into it. The first question you should ask yourself when watching a replay back is, could I have figured out my opponent's deck quicker? The first thing you should do in every game is to attempt to figure out what your opponent is playing. If you can do this, then you can proceed to make the right game plan and proceed to make the right plays. If you watch a replay back and you saw the first 2 cards and then afterwards you decide, oh, I really should have known that was Hog 2.6, for example, in the replay we're watching, then you need to improve your knowledge of decks and what is in the meta currently. You can do this by using websites such as Clash Royale and Royal API, where you can look at the most used decks in the current meta. You can also look at Top Ladder and see what decks are being used there. This will help you increase your awareness of the decks that are being played, which will allow you to do better in step 2. The next question you should ask is, did you formulate a game plan after realizing their deck? And if you did, was it the right one? Once you know your opponent's deck, you should be able to come up with a plan of how you're going to beat them. For example, in this game I'm playing Hog 2.6, so I'm going to make sure that whenever they ice golem in the back or a musketeer in the back, I pressure as well as keeping up with their cycle. I will also try and ensure that I'm getting value from my fireballs and make sure that I keep up with the chip damage. If you select a game plan, however it doesn't work out very well, then consider researching some pro players who play a similar deck to what you're playing and see how they handle that matchup. Or ask a more experienced player in your clan, for example, how they handle a certain matchup and what their game plan is. Once you're aware of the different game plans for different decks, you'll be able to initiate these plans quicker, which will put you in advantage. Third question you should ask is whether you overcommit on defense and offense. This is something I'm not particularly good at and need to work on. When watching the replays, I often find that I over-defend an expo or I over-defend my opponent's push. And what this means is that I'm not able to counter-push with my expo quick enough. So this allows the opponent to get back to their main counter to the expo. So it's important to look through the replays and locate any of these incidents. Once you've located it, make note of the interaction there, so that when this arises next in the game, you'll be aware of this and you'll know not to overcommit. The fourth question to ask is, how were my card placements and card choices? When watching a replay back, it's important to look out for any interactions or card placements which weren't optimal. For example, maybe you placed your skeletons too high so that the prince didn't pull and charged onto the tower. Or another example is, you should have played the expo in the outside position so that your centrally positioned Tesla could help defend it. These little plays that you can notice while watching through the replays will help you learn and improve for the next time these interactions occur. They can also have quite a large impact on the outcomes of games, so it is important not to miss these out. As for card selection, it's important to know that the order in which you play the cards, as well as which cards you play, is very important. For example, when playing against a golem deck, you want to place your Tesla first, so that way you can cycle back to another one for when they lightning it. And for card choices, for example, instead of fireballing some skeleton dragons, you may choose the archers instead, as this will allow you to counter push with the archers. And for example, you could expo in front of them, and then you will have support for your expo, whereas if you had fireballed, you wouldn't have had anything. Next, you should ask yourself if you missed any opportunities to attack. When watching a replay, you can see both your own elixir and your opponent's elixir at different points within the game. By watching the elixir counts throughout the game, you can see when your opponent was low on elixir, and there was a potential opportunity for you to attack or keep the pressure high when you went defensive. Being able to identify these in the replay will allow you to transfer this into your actual gameplay and assist in your elixir counting skills and your knowledge of when to pressure and when to stay defensive. A sixth question you should ask yourself is, did you realize and take advantage of any patterns in your opponent's play? You'd be surprised, but even at a high level, some people can be very predictable. For example, when you play against 2.6, like I did in the previous replay, people will often try and counter Expo by playing an Ice Golem in the center and then a Musketeer at the side to snipe your Expo. If you recognize this early on in the game, you can prevent this from happening by playing an Ice Golem beside your Expo. Another example that's pretty common is when you're playing against Lava Hound. If they don't have a building or guards in cycle, they'll quite often split barbs in the center. If you catch on that this is what they do every time, you can prediction Fireball, which will almost certainly lead to you winning the game. The seventh and final question you should ask yourself is, did you close the game out calmly and effectively? If you lost the game, you probably didn't. It is very easy to lose patience and get too aggressive, especially when you're behind in damage and there's not long left in the game. However, remaining patient and alert to take advantage of any misplays from the opponent is key to winning the game. Although you will likely have to spell cycle towards the end of the game, it is important to remember that defense has to come first. If you spell cycle too aggressively, you won't have enough elixir to defend and it will be an instant loss. Try to continue playing the game in a similar way and don't let the end game nerves affect you. These 7 questions should help you to improve your gameplay by watching your own replays. If you thought this was a useful video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.